Stoicism is a path to inner peace and harmony. In a world where we are constantly faced with problems that we cannot control, it is important to learn to focus on what really matters. One of the key principles of Stoicism is to avoid unnecessary discussions that can undermine our peace of mind. Sometimes we unconsciously get caught up in conversations that are not useful, but only take up our energy and time. Such topics can cause us stress, anxiety, or even aggression, which is contrary to Stoic principles. In this video, we'll look at 10 topics to avoid in order to maintain inner balance and live a Stoic life. These topics not only distract us from what is important, but can also become a source of conflict. So let's learn how avoiding certain discussions can help us maintain peace of mind and build harmonious relationships with others. One of the basic principles of Stoicism is to focus on your own actions and deeds, not on the actions of others. The Stoics believe that discussing other people's mistakes or shortcomings does not benefit us or those we discuss. When we criticize others, we waste our energy on something we cannot control. Instead, we should direct that energy towards self-improvement. For example, instead of judging someone for their shortcomings, we can pay attention to our own weaknesses and work on correcting them. This will not only help us become better people, but will also allow us to avoid unnecessary conflicts and negative emotions. Discussing your own life problems and troubles may seem like a natural way to let off steam and get support. However, the Stoics taught us to accept our circumstances as they are and not to waste time complaining. They believe that our strength lies in our ability to remain calm and find opportunities even in the most difficult situation. Constant complaining about life only fuels our discontent and makes us weaker. Instead of discussing our problems, the Stoics advised us to focus on finding solutions or simply accepting the situation as a given. This helps to maintain inner peace and develops the ability to accept life as it is. Gossip is one of the most harmful forms of communication that undermines trust and destroys relationships. In the Stoic philosophy, it is important to avoid discussing other people's lives because it distracts us from our own development and leads to an immediate deterioration in our emotional stability. When we discuss others, we waste energy on things that have no relevance to our lives. Stoics believe that we should focus on our own actions and thoughts, not on the behavior of others. This allows you to maintain inner peace and focus. Gossip often leads to negative emotions such as envy, anger, or judgment. They become a source of conflict and discord, which contradicts the ideas of Stoicism about harmony and peace. By giving up gossip, we take a step toward greater inner harmony and positive relationships with others. If you are tempted to talk about someone behind their back, remember that it will not do you any good. Instead, focus on how you can improve yourself and your life rather than criticizing others. Talking about money is often a source of stress and anxiety. Stoics believe that we should avoid discussing financial matters because it can lead to unhealthy competition and envy. True wealth does not lie in the possession of a large number of material goods, but in the ability to be satisfied with what you have. The Stoics teach us to focus on inner wealth, which is independent of external factors such as wealth. By avoiding conversations about finances, you can keep your mind free of stress and anxiety, focusing on more important aspects of life, such as moral values and spiritual development. When we immerse ourselves in conversations about the past, we often revive old hurts, regrets, or losses, which can negatively affect our present state. The Stoics taught us to live in the here and now, accepting the past as part of our journey, but not letting it guide our present decision. Constantly discussing the past can hinder our growth and distract us from the important things that are happening in the present moment. Instead of dwelling on the past, the Stoics advised using our experiences to become better in the here and now, focusing our energies on development and self-improvement. Worrying about the future is another topic that the Stoics advise to avoid. Constantly talking about what might happen often only reinforces our fears and anxiety. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can do now to improve our future, instead of fruitlessly discussing possible scenarios. The ability to live in the present moment and accept the future as it will be helps to maintain inner peace and avoid unnecessary worries. When discussing the future, we risk losing touch with reality and succumbing to illusions and fears that may have no basis in reality. The Stoics taught that fears and anxieties are merely products of our minds that have no real impact on our lives unless we allow them to. Discussing our fears can increase their impact on our consciousness and turn them into real obstacles. When we share our fears, we may appear vulnerable to others, which sometimes causes feelings of pity or even judgment. Stoics advise us to accept our fears as part of human nature, but not to let them control our actions and decisions. Discussing fears can also cause feelings of helplessness or panic among others, which can disrupt peace and harmony in relationships. Stoic philosophy encourages us to act reasonably and not give in to the emotions that often arise in situations of uncertainty. By refusing to discuss your fears, you can maintain your inner peace and focus on overcoming difficulties with courage and confidence. This will help you develop resilience and live stoically, not letting your anxiety rule your life. Stoics believe that discussing our own shortcomings can be counterproductive because it focuses our attention on the negative aspects of ourselves, instead of directing it towards self-improvement. Constantly discussing one's weaknesses can perpetuate them in the mind and impede progress. When we talk about our shortcomings constantly, we risk reinforcing self-criticism and negative attitudes. This can lower self-esteem and belief in our abilities, which is contrary to the Stoic principle of developing inner strength and confidence. Instead of discussing our shortcomings, Stoics advise focusing on our virtues and how they can be enhanced. It's important to remember that everyone has both strengths and weaknesses, and managing them wisely is key to personal growth. By refusing to discuss your own shortcomings, you can build your confidence and focus your efforts on developing positive qualities. This will help you to live a stoic life, focusing on what you can improve, instead of dwelling on your weaknesses. Talking about other people's achievements often makes us feel envious or inferior. Stoics recommend avoiding such topics in order to maintain our inner peace and not compare ourselves to others. When we discuss other people's successes, we risk underestimating our own achievements and focusing on what we don't have. This can lead to a loss of motivation and negatively affect our self-esteem. Instead of comparing ourselves to others, Stoics advise us to focus on our own path and achieve our goals. Each of us has unique capabilities and resources, and it is important to be able to appreciate what we have. By refusing to discuss other people's successes, you will be able to focus on your own development and achievements, which will help you live a more satisfying and harmonious life. Criticism is another topic that interferes with our peace and harmony. Stoics believe that everyone has the right to make mistakes, and it is our duty to focus on our own development rather than criticizing others. Criticism often stems from our own dissatisfaction or dissatisfaction with ourselves. Instead of wasting energy on criticizing others, it is better to direct that energy toward self-improvement and working on our weaknesses. When we criticize others, we are actually recognizing our dependence on their behavior. This is contrary to the Stoic principle of self-government and control over one's own life. By refusing to criticize, we regain control over our emotions and actions. Remember that no one is perfect, and everyone has the right to make mistakes. Instead of judging others, learn to empathize and support them in their development. One of the key principles of Stoicism is to focus on what we can control and not to waste energy on what is out of our control. Discussing such topics can lead to feelings of helplessness and stress because we cannot change the situation. Stoics teach us to distinguish between what is within our control and what is not. Discussing things that we cannot control distracts us from important matters and impairs our ability to act effectively. Instead of wasting time discussing what is unchangeable, it is better to focus on what we can do to improve our lives. This will allow us to maintain inner peace and be more productive. By refusing to discuss topics that you cannot control, you can focus on your own path and live stoically, guided by reason and wisdom. Discussing personal relationships can be a difficult topic, especially when it comes to conflicts, disappointments, or failures. The Stoics advised against bringing your personal affairs into the public domain, as this can lead to negative consequences, including judgment and interference from others. When we discuss our relationships with other people, we risk revealing intimate details that could become a source of gossip or criticism. Instead, the Stoics advised us to focus on solving problems directly with those concerned, rather than discussing them with third parties. This is how we maintain trust and respect in relationships, as well as protect our inner peace from unnecessary worries and anxieties. So we've looked at 12 topics to avoid in order to live a Stoic life and maintain inner peace. By avoiding unnecessary discussions, we protect ourselves from stress, anxiety, and conflict, which helps us focus on what really matters. Remember that the Stoic philosophy encourages us to be responsible for our lives and not to let external circumstances affect our inner state. Your wisdom and peace of mind depend on you. If you like this video and want to learn more about Stoicism and self-development, subscribe to our channel, like it, and leave a comment. This will help us create even more useful content for you. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.